Welcome to my channel. It's 1st of May, so it's time to talk about my coloring April. And what can I say? I'm quite happy with the coloring results of April, but I'm not very happy with my own mood probably. During the last 10 days, during the last week, I would say that I was at my lowest point of the mood since the beginning of this war. I think that maybe it's natural state of mind, because during the first days of the war you simply can't believe that it's happening in real life. Then you need to regroup, you need to gather all your strengths to get used to the new life, to provide at least something for the living, to adjust to new circumstances. But after 2 months I think that it's slowly started to sink into my mind that it's a long story, that it won't be a quick solution to this thing, that we are in a long way in this war and it will have huge impact for our lives. And also terrible news about everyday casualties among the civilian people, those terrible news about hitting civilian houses in Odessa city during the Orthodox Easter holidays last Sunday, when the family died with a 3-month-old child. Then I already started to think that maybe I'm ready to move to my flat back, but yesterday again 2 missiles hit civilian building in the very center of Kiev late evening, and it was totally civilian building without any military objects around. So again, I'm not sure what to do now. So honestly, I was at the lowest point of my mood, and even coloring wasn't very helpful, so maybe I will start to cross-stitch something if I manage to get me some kits. But still, during the first weeks of April I colored, and maybe it's because I gathered some of my favorite books here. Coloring went really well, and I would say that it was months of Kirby Razane's books, definitely. But we will start from Kolorowanka, which we still have those passion and hate relationship, because I absolutely love pictures. I already told maybe 10 times how much I love and how much I want to color all the designs, but with each picture which I select here, which I colored here, I struggle with the selection of coloring media, with the paper, and I struggled a lot. So what I did in April? Let's start from the beautiful goddess of sun. I think that I don't have to explain why I selected this beauty. Of course, I wanted to color it in our colors, so I am quite happy how it turned out to be in blue and yellow. I think that her hair, they are really beautiful. And the most precious thing which I have here, it's freckles which I added on her nose and cheeks. It was a last minute thought which I added without planning when I did her skin, and I was thinking that maybe it's not enough shading, because shading without creating holes in this paper, it's really complicated. So I added freckles, and I absolutely love how she looks with green eyes, matching green color of the leaves, and everything else in yellow and blue colors. Here I mixed polychromos pencils and Sucolor pencils, where I wanted to save more precious pencils for the image, and budget pencils for the background. And I can't say that I'm happy how background looks. Everything is a little bit grainy, not the way how I prefer to have my pencils, but it was really complicated to burnish paper, to blend. But the color of this page I absolutely love. And as I said, faces of the goddesses in this book, they are so beautiful that definitely it's worth all the struggle and all the complications with this paper. Fun thing that all pictures which I colored, they are one after one here. So the next one I selected for Easter. Actually, it's a West Germanic goddess Easter, and I think that she is also absolutely beautiful. All those flowers, it was very fun to color them, and of course Easter eggs and adorable bunnies. Here, when I need to color skin, I prefer to combine Prismacolors, polychromoses, but still on her face, when I started to apply pencils, I realized that somehow maybe it was dirt from this black paint, maybe it was something from the back of the side, so she had a dark gray stain on her face, and it was quite complicated to erase it or to mask it, so I was slightly disappointed. But again, everything else I do love here. Again, for the background I tried to use pencils, not like it looks like a real bokeh background, but at least I tried. I managed to purchase here some stencil with circles, so I decided that I can use it here. I do love roses here, and her hair also, they are not bad, but still I am a little bit disappointed that I can't do nice shading on her skin, because I am really afraid of the paper. You can see here that when I start to press, paper starts to buckle, even when I simply use pencils. Here you can also see here. And sorry, but impression, it's like I am coloring on the toilet paper. So in the end, when you color this image, I think that you concentrate more on the art supplies and how to struggle with this paper, how to cover it nicely, and not on the beauty of the image, and it's not a very good thing. So I promised myself after this one that I need a break from coloring in this book, but still I love these designs so much that I started another one. You can see that it's a work in progress. It's Norse goddess of winter, Skadi. I wanted to do her from the very beginning when I just got the book. I planned to color this one in February, and I knew that I had a very good pastel blue gouache paints or acrylic paints at home to do the background, so it would be much easier than doing the background with pencils only. But I didn't have time to do it in February, and here I didn't have my paints. Well, I managed to purchase one cheap acrylic paint in the nearest store, but the shade of blue, it wasn't what I wanted for the sky. So I covered it with pencils. Still the background looks grainy, and after applying wax-based pencils, they created not very pleasant shining. I hope that it's not visible on the screen, on camera, but in real life sometimes you can see it. But still, I do want to color to finish this goddess. I'm very pleased how I did her hair, because she is traditionally depicted either with white or blue hair. Yeah, for the goddess of winter it's a good color, and it was quite interesting to do this hair with Prismacolor pencils, all those shades of cool gray and slate gray. But you can see that I decided to make a break for a couple of days before I will color her face and before I will do fur. For each of these remaining areas I will require some layering and shading, so I have to think which pencils to select, because this paper definitely doesn't allow to apply many layers, so somehow I need to combine both softer and harder pencils to be able to do texture of fur and her skin. So I hope to finish it in a couple of days, and of course video will be on my channel. I have a lot of plans for this book, so I start to color here, I start to mourn about quality of the paper, but still I enjoy final looks of them, and I think that there will be a lot of videos from this book on my channel because girls, they are amazing. As I don't have my scanner, my printer, so I am not able to reprint them on better paper, I will continue to teach myself patience and to color on this paper. Now let's switch to another beautiful book on the bed paper, and it's fairy tales. In the very beginning of April I did Cinderella, and I even posted on my channel video about all my finished pictures and my progress in this book. With the Cinderella picture I am very happy. Just like you suggested, I colored her dress in beautiful shades of blue, and I think that dress looks magical. I tried to pay a lot of attention to all those reflections of the light coming from the festive castle, and to make good contrast I tried to create really deep shadows to the less highlighted parts of the garden. I do like how I did sky, even if I again struggled a lot with the paper. To achieve such result, I combined polychromos Prismacolor pencils. For some of the areas it was easier to use softer pencils. For some of the areas it was easier to work on the smaller details with the oil-based polychromos pencils, but the final look I do love. I'm not sure about doing anything else in this book in May, because for my future projects I require my other pencil brands which I don't have here, like Color Softs or Derwent Drawings, but at least now I have one finished project more here. I know that which projects I still need to finish, and I hope that I still will have some progress in this book during the next months. Surprisingly, in Teresa Goodrich books, I did only one page in April. Somehow, I don't know why, but I almost lost my ability to color in Teresa Goodrich books. I'm not very happy with all my coloring choices I started, and I do love how I start her pictures. Then somehow I do wrong color choice, and I am not sure that I colored it exactly like I imagined. So in the end I did one very beautiful picture in Main Street, but still I do love how I did all those buildings on the background. I deliberately tried to color them in a very pastel, very delicate, tender colors, and in the same time I tried to add a little bit of yellow everywhere to create impression of the street, which is highlighted by the sunshine. But when I started to color this card, first I was slightly confused with the image, because here we have wheel standing between all those boxes with fruits, and then I think that color which I selected for the background of this fresh fruit sign, maybe it wasn't the best choice. Maybe it would be more wise to use the same color which I used for the card. I don't know, but in the end I would say that half of the picture I do love and half of the picture not so much. I think that I will select something else in this book, so it will be in my May plans, but we will think about it. Next, I will show you my finished picture in Jasmine Beckett Griffith Fantasy Art Adventure book. I remember that I colored it after the Sun Goddess from Goddesses by Coco Vayo. And I think that my soul was singing when I colored on this amazing paper, where everything works very well, especially Prismacolors. The difference between paper was so great that I really enjoyed each and every moment. I generally enjoy all pictures which I do here, so I will try to color here more frequently. I have a lot of plans for this book and for Halloween book, which I also have with me, but in April I managed to color this first page in the book, You know, when you color something in the beginning of the book, either title page, name page, or the first picture, you are a little bit nervous because it's like a representation of the book. When you start to flip through, it's important to have something beautiful in the beginning. So I was nervous when I started this one, but it was a really important picture for me at the moment. I really wanted to play on the contrast of the of, area around the girl, or maybe the angel. She's holding the earth so tenderly. I do love her face, how she's holding the earth globe. So I tried to color her in a very delicate and tender colors. And also I tried to create a very strong contrast between all those thunder clouds on the sky, because all those waves of storm and all those monsters, creatures around. I wanted to show that around her we still have area of normal water, normal ocean, and everything else it's in turmoil, maybe some signs of the war. I think that you can understand why it was important for me to color this page. I tried to show that beginning of the sunlight, beginning of the appearance of the sun. We can see here between clouds, and I hope that you can see that her right side it's slightly highlighted by this warm yellow light. So I'm very pleased how it turned out. Not everything was easy, because first I was thinking about doing all the waves in intense red color, like waves of blood. Then I realized that maybe it doesn't match that color which I already put on the clouds. So instead I did a very dark gray waves with just some glimpses of dark red, and I think that in such a way it may be even more dramatic. So another project which I am quite proud of, and another very very happily finished page in this book. I hope that in May I will be able to color something else here. I have two projects to choose between. Maybe I will do another video regarding my May plans, and then we will talk in that video about all my plans in more details. Anyway, the world I definitely love. Next one, we will have a look at romantic country. In the beginning of April, I worked on the final elements of this one. I did it mostly in well, I was talking about April and everything was colored. Well, anyway, I did it in March mostly, and I finished it in April. Sorry guys, but you know, sometimes we are totally lost what day. I don't know what day of war we are, but I don't know sometimes what exactly the date it is. So it was mostly finished in March, and the only things I had to finish, that was the backpack and the girl herself. And I think that I managed to finish them in such a way that they weren't lost among many other interesting things here. So I am quite pleased with this book. Originally it was called The Study of Fairies, I think that, but for me it's definitely looking like one of the Hogwarts study rooms, so for me it's Harry Potter illustrations, definitely. And another one which I selected for Easter, well, it was complicated. I don't know why I decided to practice how to do a rays of sunshine, rays of light coming from the window. Well, definitely not the best result which I got, but at least I had some practice. I do love how I started to color all those eggs. I indicated that they are highlighted from one side. I put a lot of yellow colors on all of them to indicate those highlights, but maybe all those rays, they are too identical with the same space between them. I think that I needed to do them in more chaotical, not so periodic way. Well, but next time I will do it better. At least I practiced what I wanted to do, so it's not bad. And of course it was a lot of fun to color it because we have many eggs, so somehow I had to divide them into several groups. I do love that I did at least some of them in chocolate colors. I think that they look yummy. And I think that it's not bad, even if it took me a long time, because I colored almost everything apart from those eggs on the sides, and I already was overwhelmed with many colors I used here. I wanted the tree with eggs to be the brightest elements, so I took a break and then I finished all the eggs with Prismacolor eggshell color with some shading. It was actually very helpful eggshell pencil for the eggs. So it helped me to finish this project in time for Easter. And I think that it was a successful coloring. I am not disappointed in it. At least I gathered some good experience. In the end of April, I remembered about my Manuel de Bonheur book. I wasn't sure which one to start. First I wanted to do a big spread of spring flowers, but in the end I decided that if I already have so many finished pictures in the beginning, I have even title page, I have this spring spread, I have this very nice spread. I absolutely love this one. So I decided to pay attention to the next spread. On the page on the right, I did watercolor background because I realized that I totally have no patience to do the background with pencils. And I had in my stash Perylene Violet, beautiful dark red color, very similar to Caput Mortuum Violet from Polychromos pencils. Maybe it's not visible on the screen, but in real life you can clearly see that it's intense dark wine red color. And I think that it created quite good contrast to all yellow, light green, olive green, lavender, blue colors which I selected for the spring flowers and for other elements here. It was challenging because gods, they don't have intense colors, they mostly are light gray, white, a little bit of brown for shading, so it was risky that all the beautiful bright flowers, they will attract more attention, but I hope that in the end at least the central image stands nicely against the dark background. I don't think that I ever did such an intense and dark background in this book, but I definitely want to continue such experiments. And actually, when I was thinking about pictures in this book, this one never was one of my favorites. I don't like to color repeated elements, such collages, but now I realized that for such simple collage pictures, at least I can experiment with the unusual colors of the background, with the stronger contrasts, so now I am more confident that even having less inspiring projects in this book, I still will color them, and maybe one day, after a long time, I will have completely finished book. But still, it's a lot of work ahead of me, because even if I had colored a lot during the last years in this book, still pictures, they are so detailed that definitely it's very difficult to finish this book. But let's talk about page on the left. Here I used tender, delicate colors. I did this one first, so maybe to create contrast. After that, being slightly tired of light and pastel colors, I started to work with such intense background here. So here we have another collage with strange selection of flowers, insects and baby clothes, but baby clothes, they were so adorable, and I absolutely love those flowers in the middle that I decided that I want to color it. The whole background I made with Prismacolor pencils. Not my favorite way of doing background, but paper in my Japanese edition accepts Prismacolor pencils so well that in this book I don't mind to work on the background with pencils. Again, everything is very light. I am not sure that all colors will be visible on the screen, but it's cream, a little bit of deco peach, deco pink. So such a background, it creates some mood, but in the same time it doesn't distract attention from the main image. And I wanted to color this beautiful mimosa. It's an unusual plant, it's actually a bush. It's a very favorite, at least in my country, during the spring holidays, because traditionally for the 8th of March it was a gift for all the women, flowers which were gifted, so it's really very popular. And the bush, it's very interesting by itself, because when you touch its leaves they started to shrink from your touch, so unusual one. And I always wanted to color something with mimosa. I also wanted to stitch something with mimosa, but I still hadn't found a good cross-stitching design with mimosa flowers. Anyway, it's colorful. Some of the elements, I can't say that I'm very happy with these strange butterflies, which for me looks like some maybe stitched from fabric, and that's how I turn them. I also try to add some additional patterns here and there to make objects more interesting. So in the end I think that it's not that bad. Maybe this shoe is a little bit out of color palette because it's too bright, but maybe it required some bright elements. At least I tried to create some balance by adding another couple of bright elements with these strange butterflies. Well, I have another picture which I started here, but it's work in progress, and I think that I will have to dedicate a lot of my main time to this spread. You can see that it's huge, and that's how it looks for now. I really wanted to color sunflowers, so when I realized that I have sunflowers here, I favorited this spread instead of the spread with more spring flowers, which I wanted to start before. This one, I do want to color it, especially the mother geese, but then I thought that I have similar one here, so Alena, color this one. It's more interesting for now, but maybe if I get my inspiration back, maybe I will manage to do both spreads. I don't know, I can't promise anything for now. And finally, let's talk about Kerby Razanes. I definitely was addicted to Kerby Razanes books in April. Less for Fragile World. I had huge plans for Fragile World, but somehow I did only one. But at least I do love it. I think that these frogs, they are the most popular coloring page from Fragile World. At least I saw probably hundreds of colored pictures already, so it was a little bit intimidating to start coloring them myself, but I wanted to finish the spread. Not like that they look in something similar, but still I wanted to finish this one. I started with polychromos pencils for the lemur leaf frogs. I tried to be inspired by the reference pictures, so they have this bright green color with more yellowish colors on the belly and on the legs, and those adorable fingers with bright orange. I absolutely love them. And those huge eyes, they are so cute. Then I started to color flowers. I tried again to select very light pastel shades in order not to distract attention from the bright frogs. Then I lost my patience and I decided that for the background and for the leaves I can use watercolors. I was lucky that I gathered with me my Rosa watercolors, Ukrainian brand, and in Rosa I have a very beautiful color. It's called black green. That's what I used for the background. Depending from the amount of water, it creates beautiful shades from very intense, almost black, to dark green. Very helpful for such kind of the backgrounds. You know that on the dark background everything looks very well, so I wanted to have dark background. And first I was thinking about plain black acrylic, but then I realized that black-green will be even more spectacular. I'm not sure about those circles like raindrops, or I don't know why I decided to add them. That's an element where I am not very sure, but everything else, I think that I managed to finish it quite successfully. Leaves I also did with watercolor paints. I selected one basic shade of green, then I blended into it a little bit of yellow for some of the areas, mostly for the edges of the leaves, and a little bit of blue to indicate more shadow areas of the leaves. Surprisingly, on some of the areas watercolors behaved really well without any problems, but in one or two areas they started to create those strange dots. I don't know, but for such kind of picture, those dots, they don't bother me, they didn't mess up with the final look. So just one finished page, but I promise that in May I will pay more attention to this beautiful book. And waltz within waltz, definitely my most popular book in April. What had I colored here? Let's start from this one. Actually, I never thought about this page before. It wasn't very inspiring for me in black and white until the moment when I realized that actually it's a part of spread. And that picture which I did in January probably, this collage with many interesting details, with the dragon, with all those metal gears, with the interesting tree and couple of fantasy landscapes, that actually it's a part of the same spread. We have head of the dragon, but here we have tail of the dragon and many similar elements. The same tree, the same gears. And that's what helped me to start coloring this page. I used a lot of similar colors for the background, for the cosmos background here and there. For the dragon I used similar colors, but something I decided to change. I wanted to put all bright golden colors just on the robot hand and on the Pandora box here. So for the metal gears I decided to practice other color combo. So instead of bronze or gold or copper, I decided to color them like they are made from steel, but with a little bit of rust. I hope that you can see it on this image. The most challenging, of course, was to do insides of Pandora box. I tried to use some lighter, more muted colors, a lot of beige, brown, grey, with just several brighter elements. It's a pity that I don't have my Neocolor crayons. It would be slightly easier to do impression of the glass with many colorful reflections and highlights, but I managed to do some highlights on the glass surface with white paint, and I think that I managed to make something like glass that at least it doesn't look very flat. Far from perfect, but the whole image, the whole color solution which I have here, I do love. And for me, they are definitely have to be parts of one spread. On Facebook, I posted them together side by side, and there you can clearly see that where here dragon ended, in the same area it started, so together they look very well. After that, I don't know why, but I colored snake. I'm not a fan of snakes, but to color them sometimes it's very interesting because they have various colors. Their scales usually are very shiny, so you have to pay a lot of attention to the highlights to show properly the texture of scales. And here I selected this quite dramatic color pattern of white, black and red, but it was inspired by the colors for the train. Here we have transition from the snake to train, so I tried to select such color pattern which we can usually see both on snakes and trains. I think that it worked quite well, but the most successful thing was when I added a little bit of orange highlights to her body. Somehow it helped to unite color of the background, color of the snake's body. For the leaves, I tried to also add a little bit of fantasy color, so it has a little bit of magenta, a little bit of purple, those flowers which look like clover probably. Again, I mostly used polychromos pencils, but for the background and for some of the flowers I also used several Prismacolor pencils. I think that somehow for me it's therapeutic when I work with polychromos and Prismacolor pencils on this paper, even more than when I work in Jasmine Beckett Griffith. Something is very calming and relaxing. Sometimes I struggle with color choices, but this one was relatively easy. I had some doubts, do I need to do leaves more colorful or just to play with various shades and hues of green? And in the end I think that my proud snake, it's the focal point, so it has the brightest and most intense colors, and everything else it's a nice addition to the scene. Well, the third one may be the most strange for me. I'm still not sure in my color choices. First of all, I wanted to color this crab. It was called hermit crab, but I wanted to do another variety which has a very interesting difference of color, more brown colors for the body and much more brighter orange red color for the first two claws, and that's what I wanted to use for my picture as an inspiration. And I wanted to try to do a pink sky with pink clouds, maybe with pink and orange. That was my initial idea. Somehow I was slightly disappointed that part of the trees, those palms, they are cut. Maybe we need to rearrange this page slightly better. I don't know why this was bothering me so much, that this palm, it was cut. I tried to use a little bit of cold colors also, mostly on the stones, to create at least some balance on the page, because I used a lot of warm yellow, warm brown, orange, so to create at least some contrast. I think that those stones, they helped a lot. And of course the most challenging part was to do the background with pencils. I am not a patient person, especially now, so I enjoy doing the main image with pencils, but when I start to work on the empty background, I always hurry, and that's why usually you can clearly see pencil strokes on the background. If you're more patient, you definitely can get much better result comparing to what I have here. But sky here, I do love. The sand which I did here, I'm not sure. I didn't want to do remaining background with blue colors like it's water. I wanted to save blue just for one area here. You know that in this book, in each of the pages, we have small clue regarding what we have on the next spread. So here we have flower and pond from the next page, and I wanted to attract attention to this area. So for the background here, I decided to do sand. I tried to add shadows beneath the body of the crab, maybe some steps of the crab on the sand. I'm not sure that I managed to do it. Still a lot of visible pencil strokes which I wasn't able to blend properly. And now I think that maybe I had to do the whole background with just those various shades of pink and salmon pink. Maybe it would be more well balanced. But as I said, still 80% of this page I do love, so it was a good experiment for me and I didn't disappointed. I am not disappointed in it. But after this one I realized that maybe I have to make a break in waltz within waltz, so definitely May will be dedicated to fragile world. Well, I think that my April results, they are good. Because I colored in my favorite books, I also love results which I got. And surprisingly, it was quite easy to select which one to color next. Maybe when you have limited selection of books, you are not so tempted to be distracted by other books and you are more concentrated on the projects. You are not afraid to select more detailed pictures which require more time and efforts. So coloring results are good. As usual, I want to thank you for all your support. You know, sometimes when you got news messages about all the victims, about terrible things which are happening now in the south of Ukraine, in many occupied cities, you simply can't breathe. I had some personal news that some of my friends, they lost their home in Kharkiv city, so it's also had quite an impact on my mood. Sometimes you simply can't breathe from all those news, but then I get your lovely supportive messages and it's very helpful, so thank you again, you were a huge support. I hope that my videos will be on my channel, that I managed to retrieve my coloring module. I have nice books, I still have my lovely pencils. I am not sure about participating in mermaid. I realized that I don't have any. Usually in May I color pictures with mermaids and with dragons. I realized that I didn't pack any dragon books with me, and actually mermaids, I think that I have one cat mermaid here and maybe I can find something in Hannah Carson book, so maybe for the mermaid theme I will be able to find something, or maybe I will try to go home and to gather some books. Well, maybe I will record another video about my May plans, so we will talk about it later. Thank you for watching and I hope that you enjoyed some of my April videos. Again, thank you and I will see you very soon.